And you should be on in, there you are.
There we are, we're live. There's definitely something up with the app, because when we used it the first time, we could definitely hear each other's audio behind that cover image that we put up to start with.
Yeah, something going on.
There we go.
We won't bore with that ongoing saga with technical difficulties.
Exactly. If only digital marketing was as simple as using a couple of apps and it made us money, which is what we're going to be talking about on today's show, BBO Show. So if you joined us all week, we've been working through a process which has led us to today, which is actually talking about making money from your online community. And Carl, I've been doing the recaps. Do you want to talk us through for example, what we've been doing so far this week?
Sure. So we started a bit late this week. We're going to be doing them Monday to Friday moving forward. But this week we started on Thursday, so we're a day behind. But we've been talking to people who run events, people who run classes. We've been talking in particular about yoga teachers, fitness teachers, just because it's an easy example, and lots of us go to these kind of classes, so it's something we can understand. But really the techniques and tools we've been discussing apply to anybody who gets a bunch of people in a room, provides a service and gets paid for that, and that is their business. We've just been using yoga teachers as an easy shorthand.
It could be the info industry, coaches, mentors, educators. You could have a pottery class. Just thinking all of the things that you physically have to go to.
That's a tricky one to do online, but
tricky one to do online. But if you can get creative around how you can educate your audience without physically having to have that pottery kit and that rotating wheel or whatever. I've never been to one. I just seen it on television.
I just worked out a business plan for them, but we're not going into that. So
okay,
what we've been discussing this week is how.
If you want to know what that business plan is, you know what to do.
If you are a pottery teacher, I've got an idea for you.
You know what to do. Hit us up on the Slack channel. The link should be below. Come join the Slack channel. That's where you can ask me and Carl some questions. Okay, so back to the recap.
So we were talking to people who are educators, people who get students into a room and they teach, yoga teachers, whatever it is. And we've been talking about during the current lockdown, during quarantine, it's really hard, obviously, to do this. You can't get a group of people into a room to pay you for your services. That's just not, well, it's legally not allowed. And even if it was, people aren't leaving their homes, they're isolating. So we've been talking about how we make this transition from the offline world of an event into the online world. Some businesses are already set up for this and they're doing really well right now because they have the infrastructure to go online and to run their business online. Other people have been hit by this suddenly. All of a sudden, all the revenue, all the profit is dried up, just gone, absolutely gone. We've got UK GDP prediction figures were just published yesterday, and between 10 and 20, maybe even 24% of the economy has gone in a couple of weeks. So there are some people who had businesses and now they do not have businesses.
And that's potentially a quarter of the UK economy just gone, wiped out, gone
in a month. So that's big. So we feel you, and that's what we've been talking about this week, is about how you make that transition from offline into the online world if you had nothing set up, or even if you did. We've been talking about tools. So specifically, we've been talking about creating an ultimate guide, an ultimate resource list for people who are interested in what it is you teach. You become the host of the party. You become the person who is controlling the conversation and helping the people out there to continue learning yoga, to continue learning pottery, whatever it is, by giving away your expertise, by giving away your value. So we started with that, creating this ultimate guide, this ultimate list. We went through, that would have been on Wednesday, how you build this list. So where you start to get resources from, how you put it together, how you format it, and then how you distribute it and get it out into the world, helping as many people as possible. And then yesterday, on Thursday, we talked about how we can start to bring people into our orbit. So yes, we put something of value out into the world that's helping a lot of people, but how do we then get those people to come to us as the expert? How do we bring them into our tribe? And we talked about how we set up a Facebook group and what we can do in that Facebook group, including live free lessons, giving away more content and continuing to serve that community.
That's fantastic.
And today, we promised this yesterday because there might be people following us who have been following us like, well, this is all well and good. Yes, I'm an expert. I can put this value, this content out into the world. But at the end of the day, I need to be able to feed myself. I need to be able to look after my family. So I can't give away everything for free. So we did promise you at the end of the week, today, Friday, we're going to be talking about how we monetize this, how we start to generate revenue from the work we've been doing.
Yeah, because we've got two choices here. One is, look, if you can sustain your business in regards to what we've discussed previously, and you don't have to get paid for it. You know, you may say, actually, I can spend the next 2, maybe 3 weeks without that revenue coming in, just completely serving the online community and continue to put that content out for free. That's great. That's amazing. But for the people that do need the payment or do need to start to generate revenue, there's no judgment here. Just like Carl said, there's bills to pay. You know, you got to pay for your food shopping. All of these, the reason we get into business, a part of it is part from the passion and the enjoyment within what we do is so it generates us a revenue. There's no way somebody would now, after say for example, a business owner who's pursued maybe a couple of businesses in the past and they haven't been successful. That is not an easy process. So many business owners listening to this is probably like, actually, there's no way I'm going to be putting all of this effort in if there's not going to be a return because I've got bills to pay. So a part of that is for revenue. So if you are that road where you say, actually, I'm happy to do it for free for now, but this would be quite interesting to know how I can monetize this in the future, then stay listening to this. If you are in the place where I need revenue right now, then absolutely stay listening to this as well. So it does benefit both sides. It just, I guess, depends on who decides to pull the trigger on this first.
And this is always going to be a balancing act. So we're using a framework, a marketing framework or business framework called Baton, which we've alluded to. We've talked about it a few times over the week. That is, let me get my hand in the right place. That is business, audience, tribe, offer, and network. So this is where we lay down the foundations. What is the value we're providing the world? Audience is how we get that value out into the world. Tribe is how we start to bring people into our orbit, how we get people to join our group, our newsletter, whatever it is we do. Now we're talking about offer. We're talking about generating revenue from our tribe and from audience. So there's always going to be this balancing act. If you spend more time here building up your audience and building up your tribe and less time selling, less time in your offer section, then you're going to have more people to talk to. You are going to have a much larger group of people when it does come to the time when you want to generate revenue. However, if you jump to revenue earlier, it's harder to build up the goodwill in this audience and in this tribe. But you do need to get paid. So it's going to be a balancing act. Do you give away stuff and then ask people to pay you later? Or do you ask for payment now, which is going to limit the number of people you can talk to at any one time?
Absolutely right. So to summarize what Carl's just said there, because we'll be talking about this system a lot over the shows to come, that's typically just, if you can just picture that and capture that as a memory in your mind. So when we talk about this, it will become easy. When we say offer, we're on offer today. Well, we know we're there. We know when we say offer, me and Carl would have already gone through business, audience, tribe, and now we're talking about this. So if we say, look, we're in the tribe section, then you know offer is still to come, and we've covered business and audience. Now, network is a cool one. It's where we typically scale and we do more once we have proved concept. We will cover this less, but this is typically what we discuss in the Slack group. But here is stuff that we can definitely share with you, because network always depends on, it just depends on what your situation is. So
it requires you to have something that's working first. So you need to have business, audience, tribe, offer lined up and working. There's no point scaling up based on a business model that doesn't work. So you need to have it working, and then you can scale it up.
Yeah. So today we've got 5 different ways in which you can generate, and I put in the title respectfully from your audience, because this is respectful, because we are going through coronavirus, COVID-19, people are locked down, people are in isolation. we've just had potentially 25% of the GDP and economy wiped out.
Maybe, yeah.
That means job losses, people applying for universal credit, all sorts of stuff that people may have not done before. Could be the first time, or they're uncomfortable with, or whatever the scenario is. So when we sell in this environment and our business makes money in this environment, we need to do it in a respectful way. And if you're listening to this, hopefully you agree with that, because we don't want to be seen to be taking advantage, but we have to find the balancing act of somebody feeling like we're taking advantage. And there's always going to be those people who think that. So just let those people think that. And also doing it completely for free when we know we've got bills to pay. So we need to find something in between.
Yeah, I mean, there is also the fact that businesses need to keep working so that we don't have this massive recession. We need people to get paid.
Yes.
So people like yourselves, people who are running small businesses, I forget the figures, but in like self-employed businesses is about 25% of our workforce. It's a large chunk. And we need, going forward, we need these businesses to be in operation, because otherwise it's going to get worse. It's going to be bad.
Yeah, and if you're a sole trader, I think, Carl, the thing that people miss often is if you're a sole trader or you're an employee, you often miss this point, which is an individual may hire two people. An individual may provide a service to a business which is critical so that business can function. And then that flow of money which flows through the system, I think this is probably the first time. It's even worse in 2008, where we're seeing the money just stop in certain areas. And once the money stops flowing to certain businesses, individuals, then this is why things start to fall apart. And I think employees don't appreciate it massively. Certainly 10 years ago when I was working in employment, I didn't appreciate it. I didn't realize how intricate the flow of money is. And if you start to create these dams in the process, it causes havoc, it causes chaos.
So when you are asking people to pay you, yes, it's to feed yourself, but it's also so you can feed employees, so you can you keep that money flowing into the system so that other people are getting paid as well. So it's not just you, it's not just you money grabbing. So if you do have a mental block about this, I understand that, I get that totally. And there are people out in the world right now who think that anyone charging for anything is morally heinous.
The demon, the capitalist demon.
But the problem is, if we all think like that, then our economy will not bounce back, and it's going to get much worse over the next few years, even after the virus.
Agree. So they need us. If you are in that place, come chat to us in the Slack group. Just come talk to me. Just open a personal chat with me in Slack, and we can have a conversation about that. If you're torn between these two sides, because you could have somebody at home telling you, "How dare you be selling this product?" or "How dare you create a new product to serve the community at this time?" And it's like, but are you going to pay for my bills? Can you do my food shop this week? So I think it's simply down to that.
Yeah. Are you going to pay my staff?
Yeah. You have
employees as well.
Yeah.
Who need to feed their kids.
Exactly, because not all businesses are fall into the category of the government help scheme. If your business is structured in a certain way, if it's a startup, if you don't have a year's worth of accounts or whatever the criteria is, it's evolving all the time, but not everybody applies, and not everybody would also understand your business. A lot of people still don't understand what an online business is and how you can generate revenue from it. So hopefully we demystify that. So let's now dive into 5 different strategies. I'll start with just framing it in regards to the easiest way to do it is you just simply sell something online. The easiest thing to do for your particular niche that we've been discussing is to sell a class or a course or a series online. That's very, very simple. But if they are already, so if you assume yesterday we spoke about they're already getting free information, classes, live videos from you. If this is already free, then what are they supposed to pay for? Do you suddenly turn the tap on? How do we do this? So Carl, if you kick off with maybe option number 1, method number 1.
Sure. So the free lessons that we're providing in the tribe, we talked about this yesterday, but just as a quick recap, we suggested that you build this Facebook group, you get as many people into it as possible using your ultimate resource list by bringing people to you. And then once a day or once every couple of days, you provide a free version of your product. So you hop on Facebook Live using the webcam or using your telephone or whatever it is and provide a yoga class or provide business coaching or provide a Spanish lesson, whatever it is you do that for free into a group. So the problem Harm's just brought up is, all right, well, if you're doing this for free, why is anyone ever going to pay you for it? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. We've used the free value, we've used the free lesson to get as many people to us as possible. Now we want to see if we can generate a bit of revenue from that, and that's what we're going to be talking about specifically. So the first thing you can do,
I think I'll sketch these up in the background. So as you describe it, just so somebody's got a visual image, I'll do a sketch.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different ways to do it. So first thing you can do is, let's say you've got 100 people who are now attending your free lessons. Fantastic, absolutely great. You're helping these people every day, you're providing this value, you're adding a bit of structure to their lives. First thing you could do is change it from free to paid. You would, obviously, you're going to get a drop off if you are currently servicing 100 people. Maybe only 10 of them are going to be willing to actually pay you for it. It depends on how valuable your service is. It depends on how much you price that class as well. Now, this is going to be one of the simplest options. It's also the most likely to annoy people. If you've brought people in under one pretense, hey, I'm going to be doing free lessons every single day, and then suddenly like, oh, actually, it's £1 or it's £10 or it's £20. Some people are going to be annoyed. So you have to be very clear about the messaging here.
And those people are annoying, like from a business owner perspective.
I think if you have got people in and saying, I'm going to be doing free lessons for the next 6 months, and then you don't do that, then they have a right to be annoyed.
Yeah.
If you
so don't say it's free forever. That's the key. Yeah. Just be careful of, and this is marketing. Just be careful of what you promise.
Yeah, it's messaging here. So you're using the free lessons and the free content to get people to you. But you are saying, quite honestly, at some point, I'm going to start charging for these. Maybe even asking the community, like, hey, how valuable is this for you guys? It's, it takes my time to do it every day. Would you be comfortable paying £2 for each lesson, for example?
Yeah, you can do a survey. So I like that, Carl. You can do a little survey and says, how much would you be willing to pay for these live classes? And then you can have option £1, £3, £5, £8, £10, £15, £1,000, just for a joke, whatever. So that's a small diagram. But what Kyle is saying is, once you switch on this process, we've got an option. Have you discussed this already? Or
no, not yet.
When you discuss that, I'll bring it up. So
once you make your previously free content paid, you need to have something in place to replace that free content. So let's say you're making your live sessions that you're doing every day at midday. You make your live sessions paid. People need to pay a couple of quid to attend that live session. There will still be people in your group, still be people attracted to you who don't want to pay anything. And you kind of need to make sure they still have something. So what we would suggest is, okay, you're going to make the live sessions paid. So if they want to see you and be able to ask you questions, perhaps, or they have the additional accountability of being live with you on stream, if they want that, then they need to pay a few pounds. But then you make that live stream available for free as a recorded video, let's say a few days later or a week later. So you're still giving similar free content to the people who don't want to pay anything, but they just get it a bit later. That's one way to do it.
So I was trying to wait for the opportune time.
This is your diagram.
This is the moment. Okay, so that's, and I just added another component there, which Carl mentioned. So that's it in a nutshell. Think of this like in regards to access. When new people come in, they get the recordings for free, and as they mature, start to love you, like you, and realize that this is great stuff, they can then experience live interaction with you, live streaming, etc., for a paid service, and that can be whatever it is, and that depends on what the niche is as well, what you can charge and how powerful your brand is, and all of those variable factors. But that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Anything else you would add to that diagram?
No, again, it's just going to be a matter of balance. How many people do you want to be accessing your free material, and how many people do you want to be paying you for that material? Again, that's going to depend on how much you charge for it and what additional value there is in it being a live session. If there is interaction, then that's worth a lot more to people to be in the live session, and they might be willing to pay.
And it could be something like this, and this is a made-up ratio, but it could be 10% of this entire audience or tribe actually pay, and 90% continue to enjoy the free content. And look, this is health. You know, people sign up to gym memberships, go once, so they don't turn up again. So there's going to be that percentage of people as well. So that's number one.
So very quickly on that, remember we were using you've got 90% and 10%. We were using a figure of 1,000 people before. So let's say you have 1,000 people in your tribe. That means 900 of them may not pay you anything at all. That's fine. But then you might have 10%, which is still going to be 100 people who are willing to pay you £3 for the session, which would mean you do a session and you'd bank £300. So that's just an idea. You don't need that many people in the group for it to be able to pay you quite well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're going to talk about lots of different ways, but I'm going to use that 1,000 people in your group as a benchmark.
And it's so easy to do the sums on that as well.
Yeah. Okay. So that's just charging. That is just saying, okay, my live sessions I've been doing for free, I'm now going to charge. This is the cost, and you experiment with different costs. You ask the community. You say, how much would you be willing to pay? You make them part of that process, and you explain to them why you're doing it and why it's still beneficial for them to do live sessions with you. That's a nice, simple way to do it.
Okay, I like that. Okay, so number two. Okay, that's number one. Number two is you can essentially, rather than go direct and paid and have this level of access going on, you can maintain one group. But what you say to the group is, are you willing to donate whatever you want, and give them the open option to donate whatever they want? And we'll talk about the technical side to this in a moment, but they can essentially donate and say, I want to support what you're doing. So there's lots of new words coming. One is donate, one is support, and Patreon, does that fall under this?
Yes, it does.
Yeah,
that's a particular tool which we'll talk about shortly.
So say, for example, right, Kyle was a yoga teacher, or let's say he's evolved from yoga, and not that it's an evolution, but he's now a pottery masterclass teacher, and that's
the progression.
That's the progression. Yoga, then master pottery. So he's creating this piece of pottery live, and he's demonstrating it. I can think of other benefits of that rather than you just copying it, but he's doing this pottery, and you say,
do you mean the erotic benefits of watching me do pottery?
I was thinking
I'll get banned on Twitch.
You get banned. There's weird people doing all sorts of stuff, like whispering and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
I say weird to me, but the people who watch it, this like normal to them. So, okay. So what we could then do is say, okay, Carl, I love what you do. You're providing value to me every day, and I appreciate you've got bills to pay. So I will donate to you. This is like an online version of, say somebody's busking, you listen to their music, or they're doing a magic trick on the streets, and you're like, okay, this stuff's awesome. And then you donate something to them for that piece of work, art, creation that they've just provided into the world. So that way you donate. So it's an online version of that. Now, the donations are pretty cool because you can set what you like, or you can give them the option. It can be a one-off donation, or it could be a monthly reoccurring donation as well. And apps, Carl, what's some apps that can facilitate this?
There's a whole bunch of ways to do this. It depends what platform you're using. If you're on Facebook, there are ways to set up. Is it Facebook Tips or is that YouTube Tips? I always get mixed up.
YouTube is Tips. Go to Facebook. Just Google Facebook supporters.
Supporters on Facebook and Tips on YouTube. So I get mixed up. But each of the social media platforms tends to have a built-in way for people to donate to you. If you're on Twitch, it would be through subscriptions. Facebook, it will be the tips, and YouTube will be supporters.
No, Facebook supporters, YouTube is tips. You almost got it.
There we go.
But we don't use this at the moment. But what we do is we can tell you about these things that exist as an option.
So each of the platforms will have their own way for you to gather donations. There are also third-party platforms like Patreon. It's like a patron, but Patreon, so Patreon, which allows you again to take donations from donations. Do they call them donations? What do they call them?
Patreons.
You become basically a patron of.
Yeah.
They don't call them that. They call them.
What do they call them?
You become a subscriber, but I forget what the term they use is. There are different levels in Patreon,
yes.
so you can benefit.
And within each level, so this is quite cool to explore. Within each level, you can add an additional perk. So that's what Patreon was very good at. If you, if you go to level 1, you get to chat to me. If you get to level 2, I'll send you a piece of merchandise every year. If you get to level 3, I'll come to your house and high five you. Like, there's levels to what benefit and perk you're going to give depending on how much they donate. The simplest way is just to keep it flat, so you can donate whatever you want, but the benefits are, because we're just starting out, the perks you're going to get are standard. So say, for example, if me and Kyle put a price on our Slack group, we would say, this is the price, pay what you want, but regardless of what you pay, the only perk is we will answer your questions and have in-depth discussions, and you get a like-minded community within the Slack group. So if you haven't noticed, I'm just prompting you to click on the Slack group and make sure you get involved in that. So that's number 2, right? Get donations.
Yeah. So you use the example of a busker earlier. That's one way to do it, but there are already, I know of, lots of yoga groups in London who are on a donation basis. I don't know if that's a Buddhist connection. Maybe it's a Buddhist thing, but so they will say the yoga class is free, basically. So if you can't afford to pay, absolutely fine. We still want to be bringing this service to you. We want to help your mental and your physical health. However, we do take donations, and the suggested donation is £5, or the suggested donation is £7.
Yeah.
The idea of a suggested donation is extremely powerful because so I used to do big charity board game events where people would come. We ran them for Mind, the mental health charity, and it was free to come. You could bring your own food, you could bring your own drink, so it's totally free. But then I would stand up, give a little speech, and then send around a bucket, basically, and a card reader, and say the suggested donation is £5. The compliance rate is huge. Most people will pay exactly that £5. Whereas if I just sent around a bucket, and I used to do this before suggesting a price, if I sent around a bucket, the average donation would be about £1. But as soon as you say, oh yeah, this is what everybody else is donating, this is what we suggest you donate, everybody's like, okay, yep, £5. It's still a donation, it's still optional, but you are anchoring, you're giving that price point, which people will tend to adhere to. So if you are taking donations, yes, you can say it's absolutely free. If you can't afford to pay for it, not a problem. If you can afford, then the suggested donation is, and you give a price.
Yeah, I like that. The only thing you're probably thinking is, okay, but doesn't donation sound very charity based? And look, I don't want a charity to have a business. So I would say, look, just swap out the wording. So Patreon doesn't use donations.
You become a supporter or a patron. Yeah, patron.
YouTube uses tips. So tips is okay. I'm not too keen on that word as well. I'm a big keen on supporter, because it says what it does on the tin. I am supporting your art, your work, your industry, and your output. I'm supporting that.
Yeah, you're right. Tips sounds like something extra. And donation is like, it has legal and tax ramifications as well. A donation is treated differently under tax law. So yes, you're right. If it is for a service, then you might want to call it support, or pay what you want is a term that's used. Pay what you want is you're still paying, but you're allowed to set the price, or you choose how much you pay. Yeah,
agree. Because also the word tips, for example, and it's not to be disrespectful, but another business who's not maybe in the restaurant industry, and we've got to think, what does that word typically associate with? it associates with restaurants, bars, and you're tipping for service, whether it's in the hotel as well.
Hospitality sector.
Hospitality, that's the right word.
But it's normally a little bit extra rather than
exactly
a sizable chunk.
Yeah, unless you go to restaurants nowadays where the tip is like you must pay the tip is included.
You can't go to restaurants nowadays. What are you talking about?
I wonder if they'll take a tip if they live stream the restaurant experience. They no doubt they would.
No restaurants anymore, but yeah. So that is one way you can do it. You instead of saying this is the price, if you want access to the live sessions, this is how much it costs. You say, all right, I'm going to do these live sessions. It's a donation as a supporter price, or you can become a patron and support my work and the value I'm giving.
I like that. And in advance of these, sometimes Kyle prepares some notes, and I've seen a really cool note actually, which is if you're thinking, okay, but I don't want to monetize. If you're sitting in between and you're like, look, I need to make money, but I don't want to take advantage in this situation, and how can I help in addition? Kyle actually put a really quality note, which is you could also let your tribe know that during the coronavirus or COVID-19 time, 50% of your supporters' fees, your tips or your donations are going to go to a charity, and then you can select what that charity is. So that's a nice way to be in between that, if that's where you're coming from in terms of a place. You don't have to do that, but it's just a nice little additional option which you can offer to your tribe.
And that's also if you are feeling uncomfortable with growing and charging and becoming big online and making money from this online the online classes you're providing, if 50% of that or 70% or whatever percentage is going to a charity of your choice, then it behooves you morally to grow and to do well.
Yeah, exactly. Well, where does your motivation come from? That's
going to be different for everyone, though, of course.
Yeah, the more supporters you get, the more charitable you can be,
and you get paid
Kyle,
at the same time. Yeah,
and you get paid as well. Yeah, and why shouldn't you? So, right, Kyle, number 3, what have you got?
Sure. So this is previously we talked about taking your free sessions and converting them into paid sessions. Whether it's this is the price, you must pay this to attend the session, or pay what you want / donations. So the other thing you can do is you can add in additional sessions on top of your free session. So you have your free session, let's say at midday every day. You do that, you work with people, you deliver whatever value it is you as an expert have. And then at 1 p.m. you have a second session which is paid, and it's only for people who are paying or donating. So it's an additional session. This means obviously more work for you, but it's a nice way to continue to provide free value for the people who want free value and have a secondary paid element on top. And again, if you're stuck at home, doing 2 hours worth is not going to be not that big a deal. Depends on your personal situation, of course.
Yeah. So we're saying think of it as like a beginner's class, which is free for everybody. And then there's an advanced class afterwards, which anybody paying for can also attend, which may happen in a separate group. So if you're thinking about, how do I do that practically? Well, you have a beginner's group and you may have an advanced group or intermediate, depends on what you want to do. But keeping it simple, let's just say there's a beginner's group and it's free, and then there's an intermediate or an advanced group, and that's paid. So people log off here. Right, I'll see you in the other group, which is advanced. By the way, if you're new to this and you want to come join the advanced lesson, it's like £10 a month or £5 a month. Or all you have to do is become a supporter, as we discussed above, and you get access to this additional perk. I'll see you guys after a 10-minute break, and then I'll see you in the next group. So that's a nice tactic there. I like that.
Yeah. So that is definitely one way to do it. Is okay, we have the beginner kind of open class for everybody, and then we have intermediate or advanced. That will depend entirely on what your niche is. Also, if it is something like if you're doing HIIT, high intensity interval training, and you do an hour, and then you have a second class that's an hour, most people won't be able to do a second class. So it's going to depend entirely on what it is you are providing. It could be intermediate advanced level. It could be you do the basic version where it's you broadcasting, you delivering content. And then the second session is more of an interactive session where people get to ask you questions specific to whatever problems they're having. So they're paying for the access at that point. That's one way to do it. A nice way to do it is to have another method is to have like a structured course, which is paid. So you have open sessions every day where you do general content. Again, depending on what your expertise is, it will that general content will be different. But then you also have the paid sessions, which are more structured. So it might be a 7-day course in how to build your yoga, not practice, what's it called? Your yoga
mobility.
No, like your daily routine. I've forgotten the name of it. Yeah, or 30 days, or a 30-day how to build a business online if you are a business consultant, for example.
If you're a PT, it could be core strength, 30 days to the ultimate core strength.
So it'd be a specific structured program that maybe you start once a week or once a month, and you guide through a set of students. So again, you have the general free lessons where it might just be a half-an-hour workout, but then you have the paid structured 30-day program, weight loss program that you're working through with a group of people who have paid. That's another way to do it.
Yeah, and this could be for anything, you know, like even if you're a chef and you do live cooking classes, you know, you could have beginners cooking 101 constantly running every day for free, and then the advanced people come join you whenever, twice a week, for an advanced cooking session. And because they are not beginners, they would and they're paying, they're only going to join you in the advance.
So
it's all about promoting these your followers, your tribe, your customers from free into paying into a different access level altogether. So I like that. That's a nice alternative.
It obviously requires more work on your part because you are doing something in addition to your free work. Whether or not you have the time for that is, I don't know, that's going to be up to you, but that's a nice structure, a nice way to separate the free and the paid levels. There's one thing before we move on to the fourth.
Number 4.
Before we move on to that, I just wanted to throw in a quick note that for the first 3 that we've talked about, so there's paying for sessions, there's donations for sessions, and then there are additional classes or additional sessions that you put in on. For all of these, you could charge one-off, so it's £3 for a session, or it's £5 for a session, whatever it is. You could charge one-off, one at a time, or for all 3 of these, you can make them recurring. So it can be you pay £10 for a month and you have access to all of the live sessions, or you donate £10 a month or £5 a month and you have access. If you put people on a recurring donation, I mean, there's a lot of benefits here, but that allows them as one of your followers, as one of your viewers, to access all of your content for a relatively low price. Let's say it's £5, but you get to go to every single advanced session. So it's 5 days a week. That is, what's that? 20 advanced sessions, £5 a month is nothing. That becomes very cheap. Also, once somebody has started to subscribe, subscriptions tend to go on a much longer, and it's far easier to build up a sustainable revenue base. Whereas if you are each and every day saying, hey, make sure you pay for your session, it's just a lot of headache on your side. Whereas if you get people on a low-cost subscription and then they get automatic access to all of your stuff every single day, then it's a lot easier to build up a recurring and kind of you have to worry less about this revenue source. So for all 3 of the elements we've been talking about so far, if you can, so all 3 pricing models, if you can, make them a subscription, make them recurring.
Yeah, and that's awesome. I love that. And also the tools and techniques in regards to Patreon, I'm forgetting them, tips, supporters club, all of these things, they allow that as part of their tool.
Yeah, that's built in.
So it's built in because it's a more sensible model as well. Think about a group of people who are paying you every single month to continue to do the work that you do. That's where we want to get to.
Yeah. And you can use something called relative pricing here. So you might say, okay, one session is £5. But if you sign up for a month, a monthly subscription is £10 for the month, but you get access to 20 sessions. So suddenly people are thinking, okay, what's one session is £5, but now I have 20 sessions for £10. Oh yeah, that's a better deal, and people will go for that. Because again, there's no additional cost for you necessarily to provide for more people, because you're doing it online, you're not getting them into a room. So if you can get more subscribers, that's definitely better.
Yeah, and I went to a climbing club, so I started climbing like literally 3 days before COVID-19 locked us down, which is a bit weird. I got a bug for it, and then they locked us down. So they had it was £11 or £12 for one session to attend a climbing, unlimited climbing for that day, and you can only climb so much before you're exhausted. So £11, £12, or £50 unlimited for the month. And it's almost becomes a complete no-brainer. So you pay the £50, and that's similar to what you're talking about, but it's just showing them the value and the savings they're going to get by committing this way versus continuously paying one off. And that way, you've got your business locked in, and you can start taking it to another level in terms of the education. You're going to get more customers, more viewers, and then you can give them more, knowing that this is almost a sustainable income coming in. Okay, so number 4, Kyle, is quite an obvious one, but people often don't use it. I know there's people within my community that are accessing this now. One is for the revenue stream, but also because they've got the skill set in order to help other people within the industry. And that is very much consulting, mentoring, coaching, one-on-one, like live video like this. Say, for example, Kyle was coaching me, and I said, Kyle, I want some one-on-one service about online business, digital marketing. I need an hour consultancy just to understand what you guys are talking about on the BBO show. And I'll say, right, Kyle, what's your fee? And you'll say, I don't know. Well, typically we would charge a client £250 if we're talking about in our agency. So £250 to spend an hour, 2 hours with us. And we say, right, that's the fee. Great. So I'll pay that fee. And then me and Carl will join each other on a video call like this. And I'll say, look, this is my online business challenge. This is where I am at the moment. And Carl would say, okay, well, you need to do this, this, and this. So we're accessing the coaching, the mentoring, and each of these have their own nuance. You will know within your industry and niche what a coach is, what a mentor is, what a one-to-one service means, what a consultancy service means. Maybe they need somebody to do some technical work. Maybe you're a technical provider, and that's the kind of thing that they're paying for. So I think that one's pretty self-explanatory, right?
It is, and it fits really easily into what we've been doing before. You've been positioning yourself as an expert in your particular industry. And as an expert, that opens up the doors to one-on-one consultations, mentoring, coaching. Again, these are all slightly different, and it will depend on your niche and your experience too. The main challenge people have with this is they sit and they'll continue. People will sell classes, people will write books, do courses, whatever it is, but they won't necessarily think to advertise the fact that they also do mentoring and coaching and one-on-one. So normally a lot of people fall into this role because somebody comes to them and says, hey, you know a lot about online business, or hey, you know a lot about pottery, whatever it is. I want to learn from you. So all we're suggesting you do is, instead of waiting for people to come to you, is you set up a website or a page, or just even a PDF where you say, okay, I also provide these services, consultation, mentoring, etc., and you have a list of your packages and your pricing, and you give people a way to contact you about these services. So if you are already sitting on top of a big community, a tribe of people who know you're an expert in this field, then it makes sense just to have a resource where they can learn about how they access you one-on-one as a mentor, as a coach. And it shouldn't take long to put that together.
Exactly. And, look, coaches are needed, mentors are needed. Think about the amount of people going through a career change, emotional change, time management changes, whether it's, and I'm talking about just being, if you was a coach normally and you would see your clients face to face, or they'll come to your office and you'd coach them. Now, this is a really good time to actually switch it online. You can charge less, you could charge the same. If you're a yoga instructor, you may even open up a new avenue, like Carl's mentioned, where you do one-on-one sessions. So think about your day in terms of the start is for all the free access, the beginners, then you have your advanced class, and then you have your 4 slots. So in the advanced session, you're saying, okay, guys, so I've got my 5 slots now with my coaching clients. If you're interested in this, head over to this link and you can book in that time with me. So at the top level, you maybe have 4 slots for one-to-one yoga classes, pottery classes, and coaches as well. The amount of people who will be going through an emotional challenge or just not understanding, they could have been in a career for 10 years or 15 years or 20 years, and suddenly the industry's closed down and they're like, okay, I need to shift. This is an opportunity to shift industry and career. Well, that's where they need a coach to help guide them there.
It's definitely a time of transition. So if you are an expert in your field, maybe there's something you can do to help people through whatever that transition is.
Lots of opportunity for it. Okay, now number 5. That was nice and clear, but I like it because sometimes people don't realize that actually somebody will pay for a one-on-one service. And why not? I mean, I've done it on multiple occasions. I think of skiing and getting a one-to-one skiing instructor accelerates your learning 10x compared to a group class experience.
Or not having any teacher, which is how I learned to ski. I don't know how I didn't break everything, but it was basically just launching myself off and just hoping.
Always get a teacher.
Shouldn't be alive.
Okay, number 5, Carl, you can kick this one off. Final one, number 5.
Sure. So this is more of a bonus. This works with any of the others. Again, we're going to be, if this all works and the ultimate resource list is popular and starts spreading, if the tribe, that's our Facebook group, starts to fill up with people, all of a sudden we're going to be in front of a lot of individuals who are interested in learning. They're interested in developing whatever skill it is that we teach. So you suddenly have lots of interest and lots of traffic. One additional business model that does open up to you is affiliate marketing. Basically, affiliate marketing is the easiest way to talk about this is Amazon. If I in my
way to explain anything, Amazon is like, they seem to have nailed everything right now.
Yeah, it's a useful model here. Let's say in my, okay, we're going back to the yoga mats. Back in my ultimate yoga resource list, I have recommended 3 different yoga mats for 3 different types of yogis, people who are learning yoga. I can make the links in the ultimate resource guide special Amazon links, which mean when somebody clicks on it and then buys that yoga mat, I will also be paid. So the customer will pay Amazon, let's say £10 for the yoga mat, and Amazon will send me money because I've sent that customer to them in the first place. I did a quick bit of researching. The percentage on health products, which includes yoga mats, is 7%. So let's say I recommend a yoga mat that is £20. Somebody clicks on that link in my ultimate guide and they go to Amazon, they buy that yoga mat for £20. Amazon is then going to send me, the referrer, they're going to send me £1.40 as an affiliate fee. Now that's not much by itself, but let's say 1,000 people go and buy that mat because they've seen my ultimate resource guide. That is now £1,400. So it can add up. It takes a bit of time, but this is definitely a bonus revenue source that you can add on to any online business. Whenever you have attention, whenever you have people who are interested in your expertise, what it is you have to say, you can always add in these kind of affiliate links. You do need to be clear about that. So you should, if you are going to do this, you should add in your ultimate list, or if you post them in your Facebook group, you should say, these are affiliate links and I will get paid a small amount for referring these products. And that's just, sometimes that's legally required depending on the platform, but that's also just, I think, the right thing to do. If you're telling people, I'm going to get paid if you buy these things, I think that's fair.
Yeah, and you don't have to tell them. You can say, look, it's not the way that people phrase it is. It's not going to cost you more by buying through this link,
It does
but
support me and the work we're doing.
it does support me in the work we're doing.
Yeah. Plus, these are the things I actually recommend. Like, as long as they're genuine recommendations. This is from, remember a few, I guess it was Wednesday, we looked at some reviews of yoga mats, and there was just a list of 10 yoga mats. They were all Amazon affiliate links. There was no commentary. It was just the whole purpose of that page was to get you to go to that page, choose a yoga mat, click their link, and then the website owner gets paid a small amount by Amazon. There is no value add there. We are going to make sure that we're making genuine recommendations. And yes, if we get paid £1.40 when someone goes to Amazon, that's fine, as long as we're upfront about it and open about it.
Yeah, exactly. And I totally agree with that. I do it commonly with a book. So in the other podcast I do with my other friend Ro, we basically, we may have a book recommendation, and then in the show notes I will put that book recommendation, because often people are like, okay, you've recommended that book, fantastic, I want to buy it. Now, the book recommendation, it'll be one of these that I've actually physically read, hence the recommendation. And then if somebody buys the book, I mean, we're talking about a book which costs them £3.99, £4.99, top end £10. I might make 75 pence from that, or £2, or whatever it is. But that goes to help support the podcast and the running of the podcast. That's the purpose of it. Now, they would not pay any more for the book. That's the key. So it's not like if they're buying through your affiliate link that they're going to pay even more for this product. That's not the idea. The idea is that
you for advertising it, basically.
For advertising, right? So I got to picture drawing again. Let's see if this works. So just to summarize visually, because sometimes it's hard to imagine these scenes. This is bonus make money tip number 5. So here's the person who's thinking, oh, okay, I need something right now. I'm working from home, whatever it is. They come to your ultimate resource list and say they like this item here, item number 4. Now they'll click that link. It'll take them to Amazon. Then they decide, look, I love this. Okay, that wins for me. It could be this Logitech camera that we spoke about the other day. Right, that will go. That's now going to get parceled. I'm pointing this out because I like the box drawing there. That gets sent to them. All right, brilliant. So they now officially purchase the product. Once that happens in your Amazon affiliate account or any company, I know we're saying Amazon, but this model works exactly for any company. They will pay you a percentage off that, so you can sit there with your margarita and umbrella in your cup and relax for a bit. You've got to sell a lot of affiliate links for that to be possible on Amazon, by the way. But that's the principle. That's the principle, and it works with any other company. So we use Amazon as an example.
Well, only if they have an affiliate program. Lots of companies do that.
Correct. Lots of companies do. And I think we'll cover affiliates as an expansion in a technique week. So right now we're doing an industry case study week, one actionable pathway that you can follow in order to make some money online from your business. We'll go into a technique week as well in the future. It could be affiliate marketing, so we'll spend a week on that. It could be something else. So amazing.
Just why I have it here, because it's quite useful. I have the fees up in front of me. I'll just read them because it's quicker. But if I was to recommend clothing, accessories, shoes, etc., so fashion stuff, is 11%.
That's quite high.
It is. It's higher.
Yeah.
Stationery, office supply, baby, groceries, personal care appliances is 7%. Furniture, home improvement, kitchen, dining, etc., power tools is also 7%. These are the interesting ones. So books is 5%. So if you do recommend, okay, this is a great book about CrossFit, this is what I built my my practice based on, you would get 5% of that book.
Taught me everything I know about pottery. Yep.
This is a really interesting one. If we were to recommend the webcam you were just talking about, we would make 3% of the webcam. So it's a much lower percentage.
Okay, don't buy this webcam, guys. It's just not worth it for us.
It's a low percentage, but this is because electronics tend to be much higher prices.
Yeah, it's a lot more expensive. Yeah.
So the percentages vary depending on what type of product it is. But there's also something called indirect qualifying purchases. So if let's say somebody clicks on a link for my yoga mat, they go to Amazon, they buy the yoga mat, but they also fill their basket with a bunch of other things. Some of those items I will also be paid a small percentage on. I will be paid 1.5% of those items. But let's say they go on a shopping spree and they add 50
and they buy
items.
television.
Yeah, you would potentially, it depends, there's different rules, but you potentially be rewarded for that as well, because you have sent them to Amazon, you've sent them and they've then gone on a shopping spree. So Amazon rewards you with a 1.5% indirect affiliate fee there. It would depend, not all products. I don't think electronics get the 1.5%.
Typical. So if you're wondering, I love that actually, because if you're wondering that when I go onto blogs, why does every blog that has a top 10 list always send me to Amazon? This is why. Because to help support their blog and to create these lists and to continue to review these products, we have to support them somehow. So the way they do that is through affiliate systems and programs. You don't get charged any more than that, but they help compile a list of things for you. So they're doing a lot of the work for you.
That's the value add that they have done. They have, well, they should have used their expertise to put together this list of resources. Some websites don't. They just grab stuff from Amazon and write a bit of blurb and hopefully click there. But that's not what we're recommending you're doing. When you create this ultimate resource list, which we talked about on Wednesday and Tuesday, it is genuinely putting your expertise and your value add into what you're creating.
So I would encourage you actually, if you do find a product through a blog, go and buy it through that channel. Don't then close it down, then open up another Amazon page, and they then lose that recommendation fee, which
they might keep it because of cookies.
So because of cookies, they'll keep it, right?
Yeah. So that's a technical term. So if somebody clicks on your yoga mat, goes to Amazon, doesn't necessarily buy it, they don't even add it to their cart, but later they go back and they add it to their cart from memory, let's say, then you'll still make the money.
Okay, brilliant.
Within a certain period.
And that's because they're essentially, in simple terms, they're tracking the movement that you are making through the internet and where you made that movement from. So, and that, I mean, that's the benefit of cookies. There's some pros and cons for it as well, but awesome. Yeah. So that's it. That's us for week one of the BBO show.
Let's quickly summarize them though, because we've built this tribe.
Yes.
We've got, let's say, 100 people or 1,000 people in this tribe. We're providing free content to them every single day. What are the ways that we can get paid for this? So we looked at monetizing our free content. So saying, okay, this is no longer free, this costs money. We can do that by either saying this is the price, or please, there's a suggested donation of £5 or whatever it is, or pay what you want.
Support a club, tips,
different ways to do that. We also looked at adding in additional sessions. So instead of charging for your previously free sessions, we're now adding in something, whether it's a more advanced lesson, whether it's structured, whether it involves more hands-on interaction, whatever it is, it's an addition to the free, and then we charge for that. With all three of those methods, we talked about charging subscription rather than one-off, just because it's easier. You don't have to chase people to get them to pay for each session, etc. It's more fluid, less friction. The fourth method we looked at was to advertise the fact that you are an expert and you are open for coaching and mentoring and consultation. And this is something that you provide and you're happy to do for people who want to tap into your expertise. And then fifth was a bonus, which is using affiliate links. If we have enough eyeballs on us, enough people respecting our opinion, our expertise, then we can add in special links, whether it's to Amazon or let's say you might even recommend Netflix. Does Netflix have an affiliate?
I'm sure they do. I'm sure
I
they do.
checked.
Okay, whilst you're finishing off, I'll just check for people.
You might recommend a service, and if you send somebody to that service online, they sign up and they pay, then you'll make money from it as well. So that is affiliate marketing. So those are
okay, so here's cool. It started with that program in order to help enhance their growth, and it was very generous apparently, and now they phased it out.
Sure, because they don't need it.
They don't need us anymore.
All the money. So those are 5 different ways that you can generate money through your tribe and through your audience.
Fantastic. Okay, so remember, there's two things to do now. I gave you one thing to start with. Number one is, and I just thought about this, we're streaming live on YouTube. Number one is come have a conversation with us, ask us any question from this week, the BBO show. We've been talking about events industries, physical meetups, yogas, PTs, coaches, mentors, etc. Ask us a question on how you can implement everything we spoke about this week. And the way to do that is just come and jump on board the Slack group. It's completely for free. They will ask for your email. We don't get that email. Slack gets that email to make sure you're a real human being and make sure you verify your account. So that's number one is Slack. Number two is remember to subscribe to this show. So every time we shoot it live, you get a notification, but also so that you don't miss future shows. And that's it. You've got two things to do. That would be amazing. If you can just handle those for us and then come and have a conversation with us as well. So this is a pretty good week. So this is the first week of the BBO show. Next week will be slightly different, but the thought process me and Carl have is we want to focus on an industry or a couple of niches within that industry, provide you one pathway using online business, digital marketing in order to help you in business, especially with what's going on right now. It's one of the big reasons why we started the show. And then we're also going to talk about techniques and tactics. And that could be affiliate marketing. That could be what is a funnel, how to brand up your Facebook page. It could be any kind of technique like that, small or large. And then every Friday, we intend to have a Q&A session where either we'll take your questions. Right now, if you're watching this, there's probably like a handful of people watching this. Then we'll take your questions. If not, we're actually going to search out some of the most common questions that people are asking for on the World Wide Web, on the amazing internet, and just answer them live here. So we'll pull up the question and just answer them. Me and Carl will have a discussion on our thoughts for what those answers are. And we both come from different places when it comes to online business, selling online, marketing, and we have our own unique look on that. So that's us. Anything else to add before we sign off?
No. Are we doing a summary show tomorrow? Tomorrow's Saturday. We're a little bit out of schedule this week.
So no Q&A this week. This is week number one. We'll kick off again next Monday. If you're in the UK, I know it's a bank holiday, so you can definitely come join us at 12 o'clock today.
Not like anyone's off doing anything.
It's the weirdest bank holiday ever. And it's beautiful sunshine outside as well. So come join us next week. There'll be a Q&A, the first Q&A next Friday. It gives you guys time to watch, us to start to extract some questions because the show is brand new.
Cool. Thank you guys for being with us for our first week. And it's going to be great.
Yeah. See you next week.
Great. Thanks, guys.
Bye.